The joke landed like a slap. Laughter burst across the hall, sharp and careless, as a Marine general leaned back in his chair and smirked at the woman standing alone near the podium. "So," he said loudly, "how many did you take out over there?" For a brief second, the room waited for her to flinch. She didn't. She only inhaled slow, measured, and lifted her eyes. Her name was Captain Elena Ward, though most people here only knew her as a statistic on a slide deck. Decorated, efficient, quiet, the kind of officer who spoke only when needed, and never wasted a word. She had spent years in places where silence kept people alive, and noise-boasting noise got them killed. Still, standing under the harsh lights of the briefing hall, she felt the familiar tightening in her chest. Not fear, something older. The weight of memory. The general's joke echoed again in her mind. Kill count, as if war were a scoreboard, as if faces blurred into numbers. She could feel the air shift, sense the subtle division in the room. Some officers laughed too loudly, eager to belong. Others stared at the floor. A few watched her closely, curious whether she'd play along or push back and risk everything. Elena thought of dust swirling through broken sunlight in a village half a world away, of a child's shoe left behind in the road, of nights when she scrubbed her hands raw, trying to wash off choices that never really left. She had followed orders. She had saved lives. She had lost sleep for years afterward. None of it fit neatly into a joke. The general leaned forward, clearly enjoying the moment. He expected deflection, or bravado, or embarrassment. What he didn't expect was calm. Elena stepped closer to the microphone. Her hands didn't shake, but she felt the tremor in her bones. She met his gaze, steady and unblinking, and spoke softly enough that the room had to lean in. "I don't keep account," she said. "I remember names." The silence was immediate and complete. No shifting chairs, no nervous coughs. Even the air seemed to still. She went on, not louder, not angrier, just honest. She spoke of missions where every decision carried weight that followed you home, of teammates who trusted her with their lives, of enemies who were still human by the time the dust settled. She didn't accuse, she didn't grandstand. She simply told the truth as she lived it. Faces changed as she spoke. Smiles faded. A few officers swallowed hard. Someone in the back nodded slowly, as if hearing something they'd needed to hear for a long time. The general's expression tightened, the humor draining from his eyes. For the first time that afternoon, he looked unsure. Elena felt a strange release. Not victory, relief. She hadn't planned to say any of it, but once the words started, they demanded to be spoken. This was the moral line she carried quietly every day. That survival without reflection wasn't strength, and that respect mattered more than rank. When she finished, she didn't wait for permission. She stepped back. The room held its breath. Then, a single clap. Another. Soon, the applause rolled forward like a tide, not loud, but deliberate, earned. The general stood, clearing his throat. His voice was different now, lower, careful. He thanked her, not for service, for perspective. Later, as the hall emptied, Elena stood alone again, sunlight catching dust in the air. She thought back to the opening joke and how small it felt now. Words could wound, but they could also heal, if spoken with courage. And in that silent room, where laughter once tried to shrink her, truth had expanded until there was space for everyone to breathe. If this story moved you, share your thoughts below. Your voice matters here. Subscribe for more stories about courage, dignity, and the quiet strength that changes rooms without raising its voice. Stay kind, stay curious, and don't miss the next one.